I don't need anyone, especially Twitter mobs, telling me what I can or can't draw. Welcome back to Otaku Daikun. Dai here. If you frequent social media, you'll come across dozens of hot takes incriminating anime. I've spoken out against many of them myself, but there's a new assertion going around that I think is particularly insulting. It's this idea that men shouldn't be allowed to draw women. It's a claim so ridiculous you might classify it as trolling, but the sheer frequency of this declaration makes it hard to ignore. For this discussion video, I'll present why I think this notion is not only false, but also horribly damning to artistic freedom. Now, you might ask, why are people on social media condemning men for their depictions of women? Turns out I've compiled a list of elements that appear to be triggering. Obviously, complaints arise whenever a character isn't fully clothed. More specifically, people seem to be triggered by the exposure of legs, midriffs, and busts from any angle. They instantly assume that the presence of skin must mean an artist is nefarious. What's strange is that the snowflakes criticize fictional clothing more harshly than actual fashion one can find out in public. The whole fixation on thighs was never such a big deal until they started to become demonized. Hilariously, that resulted in one of those cases where the more forbidden the fruit, the more coveted it becomes. That said, it's gotten out of hand. I see women wearing shorts all the time, exposing their entire legs like it's no big deal, and it really shouldn't be. Put even more conservative leggings in a video game though, and suddenly the tiniest window of skin sounds alarms. Of course, complaints arise even if a character is fully clothed. Snowflakes crack down hard on the mere presence of the human form. Silhouettes and bodysuits are equally hated, so long as they indicate a woman's shape, because apparently only certain body types are allowed, under the false guise of anatomical realism. Lately, the discussion's been around the chest. While it seems like people are condemning the mere presence of a woman's large bust, the outrage seems to stem from the fact that most depictions feature a large bust without the corresponding belly. Bazongas consist of fat, and as a general rule, losing belly fat also involves losing chest fat, making it seem like a skinny yet well-endowed woman is an unrealistic beauty standard. Snowflakes try to make this comical by noting the back pain that comes with a large bust. Additionally, a slender build in itself is often vilified when folks cry, "Where are her organs?" While anime fans have been able to defend their cause by posting real examples of women with such unrealistic bodies, the fact remains that escapism should never be burdened by the need to match reality in the first place. More annoyingly, it seems there are complaints to be had, even for flat-chested characters. Once you manage to get out of that frying pan, you land in the fire below. That's right, draw your character too flat, and snowflakes will label them children, completely ignoring the many real women who just aren't that busty. Basically, if you don't draw your women chubby or obese, you risk being an objectifying pig or a creepy child lover. We just can't win, can we? Sometimes the rationale comes down to equality. If the men are fully clothed, why aren't the women? I used to see progressive artists try and make a point about how ridiculous female outfits and poses are by drawing male characters mimicking said clothes and poses. They seek to point out that if it looks stupid for a guy to be drawn that way, then it was equally stupid when the woman was depicted as such. My first instinct is to mention that women happen to be the fairer of the two genders. Certain outfits look flattering on a woman and repulsive on a man. That's just a generalization though. Ironically, rather than making the men look stupid in female clothes and poses, snowflake artists instead tend to wind up making them look more feminine and flamboyant. The point gets lost, unless you're willing to admit that, say, a flamboyant male superhero is stupid. The argument just doesn't hold water. Also, have you even looked at those clothed men? They're boring! People got into a hissy fit all over Pyra and Mithra from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. They tried to argue that if Mithra's an Aegis alongside Malos, then their clothing should match. That would be so lame. If anything, Malos' clothing should be enhanced to match the flair and creativity of Mithra's. Instead, Nintendo went and covered her up for Smash, as if going into Photoshop and filling her leg skin with the color black for stockings really makes that much of a difference. Believe it or not, There are many examples of male characters wearing less than their female counterparts. As much as a snowflake might attack bikini armor, we've got entirely shirtless men slipping through without complaint. Does anyone remember the film 300? King Leonidas and his men charge into battle with only capes and briefs, while the Spartan women wear more elaborate robes. We can even look at Fate Grand Order for clarity. In the Babylonia anime, we get to see a lot of Ushi Wakamaru and her revealing wardrobe, but technically speaking, she's more clothed than Fate's version of Leonidas. That right there leads me to what I think this is really about. What these snowflakes are truly triggered by is how fans enjoy these depictions. You don't see Mashu getting a clear glimpse at Leonidas' bulge and blushing, but you sure as heck see how Ritsuka feels about Ushi's exposure. They're the same thing, but one side is just having more fun with it than the other. If an artist draws an unrealistic depiction of a woman, and lots of people enjoy the artwork, that's when the snowflakes spring up from the ground to attack. This means that, rather than condemning the artwork itself, complainers are actually shaming all of the people who appreciate it. That's what makes it so insulting. How dare you like big boobs on a skinny girl? How dare you get excited by a dynamic female pose? How dare you enjoy something that I don't? But why men? Historically, we've had this idea of the male gaze, which seems to have solidified that attractive women only exist to fulfill a man's desires. But that's an incredibly dated notion. Sorry to break it to you, but it turns out women like looking at other beautiful women too. In some cases, the very artists behind these unrealistic depictions happen to be women themselves. You ever hear people whining about Samus Aran's sports bra in Smash? Guess what? It was a woman who went the extra mile to get that outfit included in the game, and I'm all the happier for it. What's extra irritating is that when presented with female artists who enjoy this stuff, complainers try to discredit them. What was the term? Internalized misogyny, that implied women just gave up and started internalizing male values. Either that, or they criticize artists of selling out to men's tastes. Don't give me that. It takes talent and passion to make this art. I don't doubt for a second that female artists find their own designs appealing. Maybe, just maybe, both genders have the capacity to love idealized female forms. But alas, women who think that way are traitors to their own kind, at least according to the snowflakes. Whenever they see an artist's drawing, they complain about how said drawing objectifies them, when the complete opposite is true. Being a female does not give you sole ownership of the idea of a female. You deserve to be respected. You deserve not to be judged exclusively by your appearance. And naturally, someone's obsession with your chest may very well violate those rights of yours. It's actually out of respect for those rights that fans turn to fiction to fulfill their fantasies. Rather than suppress how they feel, fans dive into their own imaginations and entertain themselves through fictional characters who have no rights. Whether they seem human or are completely outrageous, we made them so we wouldn't have to burden real people. Ultimately, these drawings allow us to indulge in fantasies without imposing those fantasies onto others. If you don't like them, the only thing you have to do is, honestly, ignore it. Instead, snowflakes are going out of their way to seek artists out on open forums to deny their right to express themselves. Ironically, at the end of the day, it's these complainers who are truly objectifying women. They're unable to look past a person's appearance, the size of their assets, and enjoy fictional characters for everything else they have to offer. Instead, they see what some people find to be an attractive female form and freak out. To wrap things up, I guess what I'm trying to say is that artists have no obligation to conform to reality. Fans enjoying these drawings do so in the most innocuous way possible, indulging in their fantasies, specifically so they don't have to bother others with their preferences. By stepping up and trying to dictate what artists can and can't draw, snowflakes are merely making themselves look like complete, blithering idiots who think exaggerated or idealized designs harm the lives of real people, when in reality, it's the presence of art and creative expression that saves people every day by providing them a place to escape and explore concepts they know they can't or shouldn't expect outside of fiction. That's just me, though. For discussion, I want to ask whether you think the content of art should ever be restricted. If so, why? Thanks for watching. If you enjoy this channel, help me beat the algorithm by liking, commenting, and sharing the video, subscribing to Otaku Daikun, and most of all, smashing that notification bell as if it were your waifu. That way you'll never miss out on all of my anime content, lore videos, live streams, and Holy Waifu Wars polls. My vids are struggling to get featured, so that bell is absolutely critical. If you want to support me directly, check out my Patreon, or consider donating via Super Chat. And as always, celebrate your fandom.